Thank you, Eric. Hey, I've got a little message I want to share just one-on-one with everybody today, Eric. So let me kind of focus in on this before we get started, folks. If you're thinking about starting your own business, good for you. But do you have any idea how many businesses fail in the first year? Lots. Now, maybe you know that you have the ability to earn more than you're currently earning by working smarter, not harder, but you just not found the right business, the perfect vehicle to reach a higher income level. Or maybe you're worried that if you choose the wrong business, all your money and effort could be a waste of your time and savings. Well, stick with me for the next hour or so, and I'll tell you why most people fail in business and why you can be guaranteed not to fail. Again, my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO of American Business Systems. And for the next hour or so, Eric and I are going to tell you exactly how we at ABS have changed the lives of hundreds of people from coast to coast, from every possible background and educational status. We've taken people from every walk of life, and we've helped them to fulfill their dream of becoming their own boss. So, just for this next hour, silence your cell phone, close your emails, turn off the TV or the YouTube, put out the cat, and focus on what I have to tell you on this live webinar. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover how you can make your dreams come true as well. Maybe you want to travel while you can still enjoy it. Maybe not a good time to travel right now, but someday it will be. And maybe you want to retire earlier than you had planned. Maybe you want to put your children through college or help some of your loved ones financially. Everybody's got relatives that need money, right? Or maybe you want to build that dream home by the lake and play more golf or spend more time with your kids or grandkids. Whatever it is that you're looking for, you can achieve it by being in control of your own destiny. How do you do that? Well, here's a statistic for you. 83% of all wealthy people in the United States got wealthy with the one secret that we're going to share with you on this webinar. It has nothing to do with inheriting wealth because, well, most of you don't have a rich aunt or uncle. And even if you do, you're probably not their favorite niece or nephew. And if you think you're lucky and you'll sometimes win the lottery, your chances of that happening are about as good as being struck by lightning in the same spot 7 times. And unless you have the smarts and the education and the money to train to be a doctor or a lawyer, your best bet is to do what that 83% of the people did to build wealth. You know what it was? Are you ready? Here's what most wealthy people did to get wealthy. They started and owned their own business. That's right. 83% of the wealthy people in the United States have their own business. Now, I've started dozens of businesses over the past 50 years, but the one business that helped me to make all my dreams come true for me and my family was the business I'm going to tell you about today. But that was after I'd started about a dozen other businesses that had failed and made no money at all. The business we're going to talk about today is a very niche business that you probably have heard of, but maybe you never knew anybody personally that had made money with it. It's a simple business, but one that can be extremely profitable. You'll be helping medical providers in your area to collect more of the revenue that they've earned when seeing patients. That's right. Here's all that entails. You'll be accessing a cloud-based award-winning software system that we've developed to submit the claims to the insurance companies and the government agencies to help the doctors get paid more money and get paid a lot quicker than they are currently able to get paid using their own staff in their own office. You'll not only save them money by outsourcing their billing to you, but you'll collect a larger percentage of money and you'll collect it faster than any other company that they might want to use to help them with their cash flow. But more about how you can do that as we get into the details of the webinar. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this little known business. And we're going to tell you how you can get involved in it if you think it's right for you, and how you can virtually guarantee your success and avoid failing in this business specifically. Now, I'll tell you right now that this business is not for everyone. We know that. Not everyone can follow directions, for example. Not everyone can figure out how to market something like this to doctors. And not everybody wants to be involved in the healthcare industry. But for those who followed our instructions and followed our system, we've developed over the past 26 years. These are the entrepreneurs that simply went through our proven training program and have been certified as medical revenue managers. That's right, you're much more than just a billing person. So I just hope that you're one of those people after you hear what we have to share with you today. Eric, why don't we get started? What's the topic again? I forgot.
Will you succeed or fail in your own business? That's the topic of this afternoon. Now, I think my camera's got to get caught up here, but Hopefully you're able to hear me okay. There we go. I think it's finally coming back on here.
Yeah, there you
Slowly.
are.
There it is. Yeah.
All right.
Well, folks,
Well, let's jump
we're
into
gonna
this
go
because
through a lot
folks.
of
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, let's go ahead and get. I was just going to say, you're going to have some questions as we go through the webinar today. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. So, folks, if you got any questions, feel free to ask it. Patrick, people always want to know, what makes people successful in really any business. So we picked the top 4 things that people struggle with whenever they're trying to get the business going. Obviously, pretty obvious. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. If you're going to go into business, if you try to have the same service, you may not accomplish much. Really what you need is a different service. So you got to look at what kind of service you're actually giving. What you know and what you don't know will obviously cause you to fail. And the biggest one is basically the fear of failing. The whole
Right.
fear of failure that sometimes people just don't even get started because of that fear of failing. So I say let's just start off with this first one. Let's talk about don't reinvent the wheel. Now, obviously, Patrick, ABS has been around for 26 years, and you've got a system. Let's talk about that real quickly.
Yeah, I mean, folks, you could start your own medical billing business, no doubt. My wife and I did back in the late 80s, early 90s. We got started almost accidentally because a friend of ours asked Linda if she could do his medical billing. He was in the durable medical equipment company business. And so that's how we got started. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That is, you don't have to just start like we did from scratch. Back then in the late 80s, nobody was doing outsourcing billing for doctors that I knew of. And we didn't even know what we were doing. We certainly had no background in it. And so we learned from scratch. It took us a couple of weeks there to really get up and running. But once we did, we started making so much money, Eric, as you know. We built a new home, bought a couple of cars, and our relatives honestly thought we were selling drugs out on the street or something. So we tell people, look,
Right.
you don't have to start from scratch. We can teach you because we've developed that system, and all you do is follow the system step by step, and it works.
Right. Yeah, and so we've got these 9 different services. They're all built in together. We've kind of got them displayed here. Now, what's kind of funny, I remember when we were doing live training, there would be a few folks that Adam would say people were actually looking for these 9 white boxes to show up at their door. And we could send you 9 white boxes and have all this printed on it, but everything's in the cloud these days. But all of these obviously each of these are some of the components that you'll have. Some could be door openers to help you actually get in the front of that doctor. Some could be the actual service of billing. But what you don't want to do is take what we've already kind of got built as a system, start to dismantle the system, and then try to put the pieces back together. That's where we've actually seen a lot of licensees actually fail.
Yeah, Eric, as you know, I've interviewed dozens of licensees over the years. In fact, there's over 100 different interviews that I've done with licensees out there on our YouTube channel, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But a lot of those folks have told me, Patrick, if I had just followed your system, if I hadn't tried to reinvent it and do it my way, the way I thought it would work, I would have gotten my first client a whole lot sooner than I did. So again, folks, we teach you to hold our hands. Let us hold your hand as you get that first client, because that's all it takes, Eric. Once you've gotten one client, if you're doing a good job for that doctor, those doctors know one another. They'll start referring other doctors to you, and your business will grow in spite of you. I just realized we're both Patrick today. Somehow the go-to webinar thing has put the word Patrick at the bottom of both of our pictures there. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, not a problem. All right, so what we're going to talk about is, stick to the plan, whether it's the marketing, the training, the support, the proposals, the coaching, the demos, the tools, the contracts. Don't try to tweak it too terribly much. Now, there's some things that you can always tweak. Obviously, if you take some of the marketing components that we have and you start to tweak those a little bit, and you can actually see some improvement in those, then that's a good feedback for us. But you don't want to dismantle any of the marketing or the training or the support or anything else that we've got for you. So we're going to kind of go through each one of these in pretty good detail. Now, we're going to spend the majority of the webinar just on this topic right here. So let's kind of talk about, first of all, let's kind of talk about marketing, Patrick. This is near and dear to your heart. I mean, obviously you used to have marketing training that was even outside of ABS, but you've taken a lot of stuff, what you've learned, applied it to here, and we've heard some of the things from our licensees that are working, and we've actually applied it.
You know, what's hilarious is as I'm looking at some of our professionally designed full color marketing materials that we've had developed and tested for us. When Lynn and I first started, we would print these flyers and things on a dot matrix printer, and it was very crude. It looked like a car wash flyer, basically, but it got us clients. We actually worked with what we had. Now people don't have to reinvent these things. Folks, look at all these things. We've had professional artists, layout artists design these flyers and postcards, and we have dozens of other tools available to you that have already been developed. So again, what you're paying for when you pay our licensing fee, it's kind of like a franchise without the negatives of a franchise, no territories, no royalties, but you've paid for all of the development that we've put into this already. And believe me, it would cost you a whole lot more than $28,000 just to develop what you see
Right.
there on the screen. It can be very expensive.
Right. But this is strategic about how you're going to be taught, and we're going to show you here in just a moment how you're going to actually be able to be taught how to use these. And again, you don't want to get these, mixed up or anything else that we've got going on. But truly, Patrick, I think if people haven't really know what actually those flyers there, I'd like to remind everybody that they actually get their name printed on those flyers, their contact information. So a lot of this actually gets personalized just for them.
Yeah, even the postcards can all be personalized as well. We have an online system that allows you to add your own pictures on the back of them. You can put anything you want to, and those are not just postcards, but even greeting cards. So all of that is a part of what you get when you become an ABS licensee.
Absolutely. And then what you're going to do now that we've got training strictly on, basically, I like to call it this way, on your time. As a brand new licensee, not on ABS's time.
Right.
We used to have live training workshops every 6 weeks, and you had to kind of work around your schedule. But this is training on your time, and you're going to learn how to take all of what we just shown you with some of the marketing stuff, how to apply it, and then while you're going through training, Cynthia, who's our one of our lead trainers here, may send you out the next couple of days and say, "What I've just taught you, go apply, go do that." And you couldn't do that whenever we had live training here.
Right, because you were here in Fort Worth in a hotel, locked in the hotel basically during that week, and you couldn't go try any of this out. Now, doing it online, one-on-one with your own personal certified instructor like Cynthia, who does a lot of our teaching. This makes it so personal, Eric, that you can spend all the time you want talking to her during these sessions, which usually are an hour to an hour and a half, and schedule them according to your schedule. So you don't have to set aside a week, get a flight down here and stay at a hotel, get babysitters or do something with your children while you're gone. No, you can do all this on your own schedule from your own computer, your own laptop, your iPad, or even your phone, anywhere in the world that has an internet connection. So it's a wonderful way to train. There's about 8 modules, which we'll talk about some of the training modules here as I review that research guide here a little bit later.
You bet. And then on top of that, we've got an entire website that's separate from absystems.com that's called our licensee support site. Patrick, we've been at this for many years and have hundreds of hours of training on this alone.
Yes, in fact, those first 8 modules, even though they'll take you maybe 12 to 16 hours of training time with your instructor, you'll also have other videos and other training that you can do in addition to that on this private website. You'll have to have a password and login and so forth to get into it. But folks, it's filled, like Eric said, with the last, well, we started it, I think, Eric, in 2014. Is that's 6 years of material that are out there. And usually we'll add at least 2 or 3 items a week to it. So, and we do our training on Fridays for our existing licensees. So we have videos that have been out there for 6 years. It's a wonderful resource. And folks, there's the great thing about this business is there's no end to what you can learn. You can continue to learn as long as you want to and stay up on what's going on with our help on this support side. This is all a part of your licensing fee. There are no annual or monthly fees for this. It's included forever.
Forever, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the demos that come along with it. Now, folks, you got to kind of let this sink in. Some of you may already know about this, but this is an incredible strategic part of your business. And I'll even go as far as to say that coming this Saturday, I'm actually doing one of these live demonstrations for one of our licensees with their doctor. It was just one of those opportunities where the doctor couldn't meet during the week. And so you can see that if we're available, even sometimes on a Saturday, we'll actually do a live demonstration for you, for your doctor, and answering all their questions. Patrick, I mean, if you think about just the value of that alone, I mean, that alone could cause you to create and have a client, as soon as the next week happens.
Yeah, we have 5 other people who do these demos for us as well. So on a constant basis, we're doing these demos for our licensees for their prospective doctors. And there's nothing like seeing a live demonstration of our cloud-based system to wow your doctors.
Yeah.
They will be knocked over. Sometimes they'll invite their office manager to be on that, and you'll hear him whispering, "Wow, did you see that? I didn't know you could do that on an online system." It's just incredible technology. And Eric, we close about 50% still of the demos that we do for our licensees. So we do all the quote selling for you because we're there showing them the system and answering all their questions. You can be on it as well, of course. All you have to have is make sure you have some paperwork ready for them to sign when they get done, because they're going to want to get started fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, also talking about not reinventing the wheel, it's not even having to reinvent the wheel. It's like, I know a lot of people get kind of worried about contracts and service agreements and do I have everything that I'm going to need to have? Folks, all that comes with your entire package. And these have been validated and scrubbed by not just our attorneys, but we've got a lot of licensees attorneys take a look at this. And this is pretty airtight whenever it comes down to a service contract between you and your doctor.
Yeah, again, back to the license fee, folks. We've spent thousands, untold thousands of dollars developing all the agreements for all of our services that you can offer to doctors. And of course, paying the attorneys to review those and make sure that they're what they should be. So again, can you start from scratch and start your own medical billing business? Yes, but you will spend a whole lot more, believe me. By the time you get finished with all of your development materials and things like this, you'll have spent a lot more than $28,000 for sure.
And then once you've got your contract, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to call out some folks because you called some names out earlier. I think I recognize most of them, but some of them showed up here after that. Cleopathia, here's Ed. Loya is on here. MJ, Robert, Sherma, Shirley, Tom, Ying, Zelda. All of you folks, this is a live webinar. This is your chance to type in any question you want. We're monitoring that question box right now as we do the webinar. And so unless you're watching the recording of this, which I don't know how they'd know if this is a recording or live, Rick, except I can tell you that it's raining right outside right now here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yep, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
So getting back to the slides real quickly, folks, and again, please type in some of your questions if you got a question. Now's a great time to be able to do that because remember, not only is it helping you, it might help somebody else that might be watching it as a recording a little bit later. You're getting part of, again, your business package here. You're getting the full business package that includes the handouts or the presentation folders, background on what you do. All of this is all built inside of that. And a great thing about, even having as a proposal. Now, one of the other things that you get with this is an incredible marketing piece, which is called the New Thriving Medical Practice. Patrick, why don't you kind of tell us the history about how this came about and who this lady is, Dr. Vicki Rachner?
Well, I met Dr. Rachner several years ago on the internet. I was searching for doctors who know how to help people see other doctors in business, if they're selling something to a doctor, a marketing, a service or product. And I ran across Dr. Vicky. She's been doing this ever since she retired as a general surgeon many years ago. She saw thousands of patients. And Eric, one of the things that helped her business the best, her practice, was to outsource her billing. In fact, our next webinar next Wednesday is me interviewing Dr. Vicky and sharing with you why she decided to outsource and why all doctors should be outsourcing. So we together wrote this book together. You can see the subtitle there, How to Get Off the Hamster Wheel, Work Smarter, Not Harder. Oh, sorry, I can't read it now because
sorry,
I lost. That's okay. I can find it. I have it right here somewhere.
I was trying to be clever and put that up there for you that you can be interviewing.
Oh, that's
Dr.
the webinar for next week. Yeah. All right. So anyway, generate more revenue and enjoy greater satisfaction in the post-Obamacare era. So there it is, folks. Now, the neat thing about this, Eric, I don't know if you can show the book there, but with the
I will
have the actual forward there at the bottom of the book. I don't know if we have it on the picture or not.
It does. I'm putting that up there right now.
You can have this book personalized, folks, with your name on the cover there with mine and Dr. Vicky Ragnar. This is a credibility builder for you, a marketing tool unlike anything you've ever seen, folks. I don't know of any company who does this. We actually put your name right in the inside cover there, as you can see on the title page. And at the end of the forward, you can have your name and contact information. Now, you can write your own forward if you want to, with our approval, of course, or we've got a standard forward that you can just add your company name to the bottom of it there. There's your name right there on the cover, folks. This gives you huge credibility. And Eric, we can have these books printed for our licensees. I think they get the 15 or so with their license, but they can reorder more copies of this for $4 a copy. Now, this book on Amazon, if you go look right now, you'll find this book on Amazon for $24.95. We did that because doctors, they overpay for their cars, so we figured they'd overpay for a book. But the point is, it's got valuable information in there for a doctor. We've had doctors who've bought the book who said it was well worth that $24.95 to get the value out of that book. So, Eric, what I've done today for this live webinar is I've put a copy of that book to show them how you can have your name personalized on it and everything in the handouts. They can go get that right now, download that while we're talking, and you'll have a copy of that to look through. It'll also give you a good overview of the kind of need there is out there for doctors to have your service.
There you go. Patrick, we finally jiggled a question out of the group here this afternoon. So we'll start with Loya asking, how much competition is there out there?
It's a lot. Every doctor that's doing the billing themselves is a competition to you. And there's lots of doctors who've already decided to outsource their billing to another company. But folks, we have licensees signing up doctors every day. Now, how is that happening? Well, it's because we have something that's superior. We've got something that's better. Most doctors don't get any reporting out of their billing company. They have no idea how much money they're bringing in over what they used to bring in. They don't know how many rejections are still being rejected. All of that is available to our doctors through our licensees' websites because it's an online cloud-based system, so it's in real time. So you can't hide anything from the doctor. It's wide open to them to see everything that you're doing, and they love that transparency, Eric. So yes, there's competition out there. There's other billing companies out there, but folks, there is nobody that has the technology we have and the ability to collect as much money as our licensees do for our doctors.
Absolutely. And you can hear that from some of the people that are coaches for American Business Systems once you become a licensee. So I think, Patrick, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, what happens if I find out there's a licensee that's near me? Are they going to be my competition? But actually, they become your coaches.
Yes. In fact, Eric, that's why we have a Facebook group out there that only our licensees can become a part of. But the reason they are all participating in that is they don't look at each other as competition. They look at each other as people who are building credibility in the marketplace for people who are using the iClaim EMRX system.
Correct. And folks, the only way that you're going to find the type of success that we feel like you're going to be able to have, and that is to, again, make sure that you're just sticking to the plan as we've kind of got listed right here, and make sure that you don't deviate from this particular plan.
Right.
And stick with the marketing, stick with the training, the support, the proposals, everything that kind of goes along with that. Make sure that you just really stick with what we've got kind of listed there. I'm going to get ready to show another slide here, but before we do that, Patrick, there's another question that's come in from Cleopathia. Hopefully I said your name correctly. I don't know if I missed this, but will I have to contact the doctor? Do you want to answer that real quickly before we move forward?
Well, first of all, let me say that it's not what most people think. Now, Eric, back when I started, me and my wife, remember this is the late 80s, we didn't know what else to do but to contact the doctors directly. Now, we did send out some letters. I made some cold calls on the doctors, which was a serious mistake. Then we learned that there's a better way to do that. We can put you in contact with doctors through professionals in your area. Now, we have lists. If you want a list of all the doctors in your area, we happen to have a database that has them all. But that's something available probably just by Googling it. What we do that's
Sure.
different is teach people how to make those contacts through the warm market that they already have in their community. And that puts them in, they're introduced to the doctors. Somebody that you know that knows a doctor can say, I have somebody who's doing billing for doctors and they're collecting 98% of all the money that's due them. Well, doctors don't collect near that now. And so when they say something like that, they'll go, well, introduce me to them. And that's how that goes about. So to answer your question, Cleopathia, there's lots of folks out there in our licensing group, if you watch some of the interviews I've done, that say that's how they got started. Eric, the guy that I interviewed 2 weeks ago, said that that's just something he chose to do, and he got his first client there in the first 45, 60 days. So
Yeah, and I'll say it like this, the doctors don't know that you're particular in business unless sometimes you do see them. And again, you're going to need to be either in a networking position where you're networking with other people and other business people that are actually maybe doing business with doctors already. So there's a lot of different ways in which we structure you and teach you in that live training workshop of how you're going to actually get in front of the doctors to actually get a dialogue. Patrick, one thing that we haven't even talked about here, and it's not actually in any of the slides, but it's what we've just started doing. Folks, imagine that, again, since we've got the knowledge, how about we are doing webinars for you, and all you're doing is inviting doctors to maybe to a webinar. We're doing that now just about once a month to kind of help you to go out there and just invite the doctors to a webinar. It might be on HIPAA compliancy. It might be on how to help that doctor recoup some more of their AR, topics that doctors are going to be interested in. And we're doing the webinar, getting you in front of them. So it's not as scary as you might think it is, because again, we're kind of hand-holding you through the whole process.
Yeah, so there's a good example. Eric and I developed those done for you webinars for doctors only about maybe 6 months ago. It's brand new, folks.
Yeah.
Even though we've been in business for 26 years, we continue to develop new ways to contact doctors in your area. So to answer your question again, Cleopathia, we've got about a dozen different ways. That's just one of them that we teach you as far as how to contact doctors. Shirley wants to know how long it takes to get a client. Great question, Shirley. I just mentioned the guy who got his first client in 45 days. I think maybe it was 60. But anyway, if you can get a paying client like this, that's going to be with you for years and years and make you thousands and thousands of dollars in 2 months, that's a good, solid, real business. It's not get rich quick, but it's certainly worth the effort that we put into it. Now, it does take people longer, and it takes people sometimes shorter periods of time. So Shirley, that all depends on whether you're full-time or part-time and how much effort you put into it. So we can't tell you exactly how long it's going to take you to get a doctor, but if you listen to all the interviews that I've done out there on our YouTube channel, you'll see that there are lots and lots of licensees who've gotten that client in a very relatively short period of time.
You bet. Now, moving on to the second thing that we talked about today. Remember, I told you that first one, reinventing the wheel, is the most that we're going to talk about on each of these 4 topics today. The second topic that we're going to talk to you about is, are you coming in with the same type of service that they already currently have? So let me kind of paint this picture. If a doctor is doing billing in their office and they're using some type of server-based type of software, and all you're doing is bringing another type of server-based type software in their office, you're not offering them anything differently. You got to be
Right.
able to offer them something that is completely differently, that's really going to make a change in them. That's again why we find ourselves successful. You've got to find that you're separating yourself from maybe even old technology to new technology. And Patrick, the software that we're showing you right now, and a little bit more detail, is actually going to show you all the components that you can do with this cloud-based software.
Yeah, folks, the doctors love this because it is the latest in technology in that it can be used on an iPad or tablet of any kind, on a laptop, a desktop, Windows, Apple, doesn't matter, cell phones of any kind. The doctor can access the data from anywhere that there's an internet connection. And the wonderful thing is, Eric, that we continue to improve it. Every time people log into it, they're using the latest version. There's no updates or, any kind of downloading of new files or anything like that. Every time they log
Right.
in, they're using the most current version of it. Now, Eric, show them that next slide that shows what you're talking about when you talk about a complete system.
Yeah, folks, I mean, normally you have basically sometimes 4 different components here. So let's kind of talk about the complete system. You got the iClaim system, which is called a practice management system. This is the kind of the hub of how the entire office runs. This is where they'll be able to put in their patient's data, their the first name, last name, all the insurance information. That goes into the iClaim practice management system that stores their schedule, everything like that. So just imagine that that's the central location. That opens the door for the electronic medical records. Now, some doctors have a separate EMR system to their practice management system, especially if you're dealing with software that might be a server-based type of software. You may have a server-based software for your practice management system that may be built by, let's say, company A, and then they've got to marry that to an electronic medical records platform that's made by a completely separate manufacturer or software company. Ours is all together. And one other step to that is the clearinghouse. There's no other system out there that actually owns their own clearinghouse. That's involved in the whole part of that. And then obviously the patient portal is in there. And there's some creative things that just in the patient portal that can be done. But that's the whole complete system right there.
Yeah, it's integrated. It's all written by the same programmers. They stay in the same room. We throw pizzas and Pepsi in there every once in a while, but they're all doing this right here in the United States, by the way, in our offices in California. So since it was developed over 20 years ago by 2 doctors, we know that it fits exactly what doctors need. And then the programmers, of course, do exactly what the doctors say to adapt the system so that it works for any type of doctor in any specialty that's out there. So as you're seeing here, this is the iClaim, which is what you'd be logging into and using, again, from any computer anywhere in the world. You could be on the beach in Hawaii, Eric, and still log into this.
Right.
We've had licensees say that they've taken vacations and the doctors never know that they're not in town because they're doing their work right here through our cloud-based system. And
Correct.
that's just for the billings. Then behind the scenes, of course, we have the electronic medical record system. We call it EMRX, which is again all integrated with the other system. So when the doctor sees the patient, usually they're using an iPad or a tablet, and they're putting in the data that they need as they see that patient right into this system. That goes right over there to the iClaim system, and boom, it's ready for you to send the claim in.
Yep, absolutely. And then on top of that, as I mentioned to you, we've got our own built-in clearinghouse, and we've got this clearinghouse as illustrated here as just some type of a building, because typically that clearinghouse is usually sitting outside of a practice management system type billing software. Ours is directly involved with ours. So just think of this. Our clearinghouse gives you a direct portal to your insurance payers. So your Medicare, Medicaid, Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, all of that is involved in there. Then the clearinghouse will catch those errors. So before that they ever get to the insurance companies, our built-in clearinghouse is going to help you catch any problems. You'll be able to make those corrections before you even submit those to the payers. So you're not getting anything caught up there in a clearinghouse rejected claim. That's where a lot of claims get rejected. Ours is less than 2%. So this really does give you a very unique difference in the marketplace. And that's what we're talking about here. If you don't have something different in the market, you're just going to be rehashing maybe what they already currently have. Patrick,
Yeah.
Again, we've just kind of touched the base here, but that's really about what's going on with the clearinghouse.
Yeah, and then we have a patient portal that's unlike anything you've ever seen. I go to a couple of different doctors, a general and then a specialist, and I see their patient portals, and I laugh at them, Eric. They're just ridiculously unfriendly. Ours has
Yeah.
been developed again from a user-friendly standpoint that makes it very simple on the screen to see exactly what you need, what you want to do. And Eric, with this virus going around, I think our telemedicine that's built into our patient portal is probably as important as anything that's out there right now. You can see a doctor as a patient through our patient portal using technology,
Correct.
just like me and Eric are talking to you right now through webcams.
Yeah, and I think we're getting more and more used to that. I mean, even with the scare, with the virus that's going around right now, we're seeing patients that are isolated and maybe even restrained somewhere, but they're being able to talk through video chats and everything. But the way that this works, it actually stays HIPAA compliant because it's not getting out on the web, in never land like what we're doing right now with a go-to webinar.
Yeah, it's not like a
this
Skype
is HIPAA
call.
compliant. Yeah, it's secure. It's in the system. It's what's called a closed system. So everything remains HIPAA compliant right inside of everything. But this is just another shot for you to kind of see how everything just works together, including all the way getting paid by the insurance company. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're just illustrating there that the clearinghouse, he put the building inside of our software because it is. Now, folks, that's important. If you don't realize, if you start your own medical billing company, like my wife and I did, we had to research. There's probably a dozen different clearinghouses out there. And you have to go out and research them. You have to get their paperwork. You have to go through it. You have to apply. You have to make sure that, how do you do your research? You don't have to do that. With ABS, we've already taken care of that. And since our rejection rate through our clearinghouse that's built in is less than 2% rejection rate, on the initial submission of the claims, why would you need anything else? You don't. So the buck stops here. We take all responsibility if the claims don't get paid. You can't blame it on a third party like you would if you had your own, clearinghouse that you'd gotten set up with. Okay, Eric.
That is correct.
Wow, we're moving right along here, and I've got some other questions here I'd like to address, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let's see. Here's a great one. This is there a limited? Tamara says, is there a limited to the time frame that we have an assigned coach? No. Tamara, that's a good question. People, what she's asking is, these coaches that we mentioned earlier, these are other licensees that we pay to coach you. And so that's unlimited. As long as you're an ABS licensee, you have access to those coaches and our support department and our licensee support SAC that we showed you earlier. Zelda says, in the training program, do you teach us how to sell our business to the different doctors? Well, Zelda, the answer is yes and no, I guess, because even though I know what you're saying is do we teach you how to present your services to the doctors? We do that. But believe me, there's no selling. In fact, we have a report that you can bring back to the doctor that will show them how much money they're going to save by outsourcing it to you. It does all the selling for you. So there's anything who gets into this that has a background in selling is probably at a disadvantage, aren't they, Eric? Because this is not your typical, doctors don't like to be sold.
Right. If you don't mind, Patrick, I'd like to answer Blake's question here. Blake's asked, many private practices have been absorbed by hospitals and health systems in my region across the country. Has this affected the market for this service? Yes and no. Matter of fact, I don't think Patrick's going to mind me saying this, but this month, going into next month, I'm actually releasing a book called The Rise of the Independent Doctor. Now, Patrick's already read that book. He's done some little bit of editing for me, but it's actually answering your question. So, Blake, hang in there. We may actually have an e-version of that book in the next couple of weeks to get out to you, and it'll actually help you answer that question. Really, to answer the question shortly, is the fact that yes, doctors do get absorbed by hospitals and health systems. But what you're going to find out, it's not the best for our healthcare system completely. So then, just on the other hand, you've got other doctors coming out of those trying to enter back into independent practice. That's why I've named that book The Rise of the Independent Doctor, because we're actually starting to see that on the rise. So, Patrick, thanks for letting me have a little plug about the book coming out, but I thought it might help answer Blake's question there.
Yes, I can't wait to have that released, Eric, because that has some valuable information for people who are wondering if that's the case out there. Now, as Eric said, I've interviewed licensees already who've said, Patrick, I'm hearing from doctors who just came, their contract with the hospital was up after a couple of years, and they decided to go back into private practice again. So that's pretty exciting. We need the private doctors out there in America.
You bet. You bet. We really do. Patrick, I'm going to keep going on, and we'll save a few of these other questions here right towards the end. But folks, there's two more of the four elements that we want to talk to you about why people actually fail versus succeeding. And it really gets down to what you don't know, what you don't know. That's just really what it gets down to. Especially whenever a lot of people, Patrick, where this actually came from is that a lot of people want to say, can I go pre-market my business out there? That's not always the wisest thing. I know why people are doing that, because again, they're trying to figure out, before I, invest this amount of money, I want to make sure this is working for us. You want to kind of answer that as we kind of go through these questions here?
Yes, you know what? People don't realize that what you don't know in business can be as detrimental and lead to failure as much as what you do know. And folks, we know, of course, after 26 years, exactly how to go out and approach doctors. And one of the things that you should not do is to try to pre-market to see if this is going to work for you. If you talk to your own personal doctor and don't have the answers to their questions, well, you're going to kind of look silly, right? So it's better to get the training from us before you approach somebody that you know personally. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't talk to some doctors that are out there, but again, unless you know what the questions are that they might ask you, that can be dangerous. And as Eric is illustrating, you could burn up all your good leads before you get started even.
Yeah, I mean, because some of those leads, if anybody's ever been trying to build their own business, obviously you thrive on leads, because leads actually turn into your client. And let me just kind of briefly talk about that again. One of the reasons why we are now doing the Done For You webinars is to actually help you build leads. Because again, if you try to go to a well only just to fish for one particular fish out there, it's difficult to do. But if you kind of gather them in and people get to know you and those become your lead source, then your warm market is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If you try to use your particular warm market, as Patrick says, earlier, and you try to sell them right now on the idea that you might be getting into medical billing, you may just burn some of the best leads that you might have. So we try to tell you not to try to go pre-market this. And again, it's just because you may not know what really is revenue cycle management.
Right. Okay, I had a question here from Robert that I feel stupid because I did not know what he was talking about. I think I understand Robert now. He's talking about as your cloud HA, which is usually refers to, I hope I'm referring to what you are, Robert, as high availability. That is it up and running and is available, or is it down a lot? A lot of people ask, what's your downtime? Well, ours is like 99.99%, Robert, available, meaning only time we take it down is when we're going to do some major overhaul, and usually that's at 3 a.m. in the morning, and we tell you ahead of time, of course, when that's going to be done. And it's only down usually for an hour or so at the very most. That has happened, I think, a handful of times in the last 10 years. So it's very high available. In fact, it has to be, because there are doctors who use this, even in some hospitals around the clock. So it's very high.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'm glad you clarified that, because I didn't really know what he was talking about there either, but I appreciate you kind of going down that path. But again, one of the things that you're going to learn through your training is, what is revenue cycle management, how it all works together. Cynthia will take her time kind of making sure that you get that good understanding of what that really, really means to you and your business. You're going to learn about what a CPT code is versus what an ICD-9 code or an ICD-10 code is. Medicare and Medicaid, what is CMS, what are reimbursements, what are denials versus what are rejections. We're going to go through and teach you all of that. Now, if you don't know what a CPT code is right now, it may not be a great time to go market your business. That's what I'm talking about here. We want to make sure that you have all these medical terms down pat so that you at least know if the doctor says, well, are you up with the new ICD-10 codes? You go, well, I don't know what that is. Right. Obviously, you know, what kind of lead that'll happen. And then we're going to teach you how to ask the right questions. Patrick, I think we try to make it as user-friendly as possible to try to help you, especially being a brand new licensee, going out there and driving some of these questions for the doctors to answer for you. And again, to produce a report that's going to actually help you close the deal.
Yeah, we call it a practice analysis. It's really about 3 pages of questions that you can ask to the doctor. Usually the office manager knows the answers to those. And that gives you enough information to go back and produce the report that you see there on the right side of the page. Now, I know that's hard to see, but if you kind of zoom in, maybe full screen or something, you'll see down at the very bottom there that there's a bottom line figure of about 300,000 plus in extra profits for this particular doctor's office. Based on the numbers that they gave us and that we plugged into this, that's what we come up with as the potential increase in revenue that we can bring to that doctor. Eric, if I was a doctor and I saw that, I'd think to myself, even if it's half that, I'm going to give this a try.
You bet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's because that's what it's all about is that I'm going to go back to some of the questions that have come in. Do I have to sell? Do I have to do this with the doctor? You know, what is it going to be? Don't have to sell anything. Let the numbers do what the numbers are supposed to do. And that is show the doctor maybe what they're losing versus what they could gain if they've got someone with you with this type of software background. It's going to help you be able to do that. And Patrick, I know that you kind of want to kind of wrap up things here real quickly. So I'm going to get to a few more slides here. Not only do you not have the questions to ask, but folks, again, if you try to go out there and pre-market right now, you certainly don't have the support that you're going to need. I've actually had people, Patrick, say, Eric, I know that you do a demo for me as a prospect. I may have a prospect doctor that wants to see your software. Can you do that before I become a licensee? Folks, that's not fair to you. It's not fair to the doctor. But once you are a licensee, then again, you're opened up to the full support of us helping you, again, close any deals that we can help you close. I mean, that's why we're here, to help you close them.
Yeah. Eric, that fear of failure that you mentioned earlier, of course, I cover in my book, How to Reprogram Yourself to Success. So what I just did, Eric, is I dropped an e-version of that, a PDF
good.
in the handouts so people have access to that today.
You bet. Folks, thank you, Patrick, for doing that. You know, I'm going to put that picture up here on the screen so that everybody can see that. But that's the book right there, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. And now I'm going to go back a few slides here. But, you know, basically it wraps up in, you know, everybody's thinking that you've undermined your own abilities to succeed. You've got either someone nagging at you or it's probably your own voice. And when you read Patrick's book, you're going to find out that typically it's your own voice that's telling you can't, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough to do this, you're not capable enough to do it. And Patrick, I appreciate you putting that book in there. I think it's going to help people kind of reprogram yourself for some success here.
Yeah,
so
basically,
not only did you get,
I taught myself, Eric, years ago. I always were speaking to myself in very negative terms, and I taught myself to erase and replace that negative talk with some positive talk. That's not just positive self-talk. These are actual words that you use that program your brain to think completely differently about success and about money. And so anyway, grab a copy of that while you can over there, folks. Don't go out on Amazon and buy it. There's no need to. And we'll send you an actual physical copy of it, of course, when you become a licensee. Eric, we don't only have about 5 minutes or so that I want to get to that little closing statement. So why don't you wrap it up there for us?
Absolutely. Yeah, so these are the things that are going to make you either succeed or fail. If you stick with the plan, you go out with a different service, you really learn what you need to know, and you conquer that fear of failing. Folks, you're just setting yourself up for success. And again, ABS with its system in and of itself has you positioned for success, and that's really what anybody really wants to know is, can I be positioned for success? Patrick, I think we've gone through just about all of the questions. We may be one or two lagging right there that we might want to get into, but I know that you want to kind of talk about next steps and where everything is. So I know we're going to kind of let you share some of that information right now.
All right, Eric, I'll be referring to some of those slides that are coming up there too as I close here. Folks, I hope this information has been of help to you in trying to decide, if this is the right business for you. Remember, we've trained hundreds of people all over the United States, and we have tons of testimonials and references for you to call and ask if what we're saying on this webinar is true. Hey, you know that in today's socially conscious world, a company like ours has to do exactly what they say they're going to do, or it's all over the web, and you won't be able to stay in business for very long. Certainly not 26 years. We've been training and supporting people on starting their own medical billing business for over 26 years, so we must be doing something right. That's how we've maintained that A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, for example. We also know that you have lots of options for starting a business and lots of choices. We do these webinars to let you see past all the hype and the blur of the get-rich-quick internet gurus and see and hear from us personally here at ABS. We care about each person that invests in our business model, and we want you to be wildly successful. That's why we offer lifetime support and never ever charge you any further fees for support, software updates, royalties, training, support, or any other fees. You see, we make money on each of the services that you offer to your clients. And so after funding your business and paying for our one-time licensing fee, you won't pay us anything extra ever again. Our ongoing income as a company comes from our technology partners who share a small percentage of the fees that you charge to your clients. So we have a vested interest in your success. You see, when you make money, we make money. That's the American way, isn't it, Eric? And that's the key to long-term success of our licensees and of ABS as a company. So if you're sincerely interested in changing your life and making your dreams of business ownership come true, please just continue to attend these webinars. They're free, and ask all the questions you want to. We have nothing to sell but success and your dream of owning your own business. We do these webinars every week at 4 p.m. Central Time on Wednesdays, and we try to give you new information on our business model and how you can make money offering revenue management services to the physicians that are out there in your area. Because, we can't tell you everything in these short webinars. We're already out of time, and it feels like we had just got started. And so we want to educate you each week and inform you so you can make the right decision that's right for you and your family. Please reach out to one of our business development reps here at ABS. They're the people who sent you the email to come to this webinar. And let me share with you 5 simple steps that you need to take control of your financial future with ABS. The first one is just look over the downloadable research guide. Now, to get that guide, you need to get back with the person who invited you to this. Let me show you a picture of that. In fact, in this next slide, Eric, I think it's going to be showing some of the pages from that. You might just go through those as we talk here. There's the table of contents, for example, and you're going to see, folks, that we have everything in here that you need to do your research, including all the different specialties that are available for you to do the marketing to out there in your area. You'll be surprised how big that market is. We've got testimonials from medical providers who've actually used our system. We have all the different marketing materials illustrated inside this guide. This guide is over 50 pages long, and it has all the details that you need to make a good decision and share with a relative or a friend. We go over all of the services and what you can make from each one of them. We have testimonials from many of our ABS existing licensees as well. And you can even get a list of all of your references of other business owners. So here's the second step. The second step is go to our YouTube channel. Yeah, I've got that illustrated on the next slide there, Eric. It's basically why ABS. In other words, you go to youtube.com/why ABS and just browse amongst all the different videos there, folks. There's hundreds of hours of videos over the past years that we've put out there on our channel. Be sure and look at the testimonials, especially from some of our other licensees. And then step number 3 is we want you to ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. It looks something like this. Here's the first page. I think we've got 3 or 4 pages of these licensees who are willing to take your call and talk to you personally about why they made the decision to get into business with ABS. Then we have step number 4. Step number 4 is you need to ask for a live demo of our iClaim EMRX platform. And that's basically what we talked about earlier. Not only do we do this for your prospects, we'll do this for you before you even decide to get into the business. We'll spend an hour one-on-one with you on the phone, going through our system and letting you ask all the questions you want. And then the last step, of course, is to ask for a copy of our purchase agreement. And I've got that illustrated, I think, on the next slide there, Eric. It's just about 4 pages long. And again, you can go over that with your partner or your spouse or an attorney, and just make sure that this is something that you want to do. Get the paperwork filled out. We'll even give you some ideas for funding your business. And folks, we believe in our model so much that we even have a 100% money back guarantee. Now, Eric, I don't know of any company who's dared to do anything like this, a business opportunity or a franchise. But folks, you can go through our live online training over the next 30 days. And if for any reason you don't think this business is right for you, just tell us and we'll give you 100% of your money back. How can we do that? Well, we know that what we have is proven to be a profitable business for hundreds of people nationwide. But there have been a handful of people, as you know, Eric, over the past 26 years that have just not felt that this was a good fit for them. And we refunded them the entire license fee. All they were out was their time to see if this was the right business for them. So don't hesitate to get back with your ABS rep. Let them know you're ready to see a live demo. You want to call some of the existing business owners. The training sessions that we do are filling up very quickly at this time of the year. And you can normally get started within about a week of signing up. Eric, I think that's about a week now instead of 48 hours, which we used to say. But based on your personal schedule, you can finish the entire training within about 30 days or so and be ready to sign up your first client soon after that.